Hey, what's up guys, it's MugenLord here, and today, as I promised before, I will introduce anime reviews and just anime in general here on this channel, just to mix things up, bring some variety here as far as content is concerned. And I know a lot of you guys on this channel that watch my videos are gamers, but not only gamers, you guys enjoy anime as well. So I think this is a perfect addition to the channel, and also bringing some new viewers who may like anime reviews or just want to hear my opinions of what I think about certain particular anime. So today we're going to be reviewing Terminator Zero. Now I know, Terminator, right? This movie was released on Netflix last year in 2024. I remember when the trailer was first announced, it took me back when I was a teenager, because when I was much younger, I also said that, yo, you know what would be a good anime? I think Terminator would definitely make a good anime. It has that sci-fi action thriller and feel to it that would convert pretty well, or adapt it into an anime itself. I mean, we've seen properties like Ghost in the Shell, which is a sci-fi anime that took many inspirations from cyberpunk themes and of course Blade Runner itself. So I thought that, hey, it would be perfect. We can't forget about The Matrix. It was also adapted into an anime property called Animatrix, which I thought was kind of weird, but actually it still had some cool themes and it still paid respect to its IP as well. So the question is, does Terminator Zero pay any respect to the actual property itself, which is Terminator? And we're going to definitely get into this right now. So before we dive into the video, make sure to subscribe button and the notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. Now, when it comes to Terminator, man, I grew up with Terminator. I love the first two films, and I will also add the third film in there too, because I think the third film was actually pretty cool, especially when you added a female Terminator. And add in a female Terminator, you got a chance to see how a female Terminator terminates its target much differently than when Arnold Schwarzenegger and other male Terminators that came to be. And I thought it was actually pretty cool of how they took that approach. And even the actress herself says she liked actually acting in that role, and she wanted to add that sexiness and how, you know, femininity can actually add to the Terminator itself.
And nuance, and even walking like a machine, but still human though. At the same, it was a balance there.
That's right. And I wanted to even bring in, because I'm a woman, those little signs of femininity that maybe weren't in the script, but bringing to life, like when I'm tasting the blood, or there's a moment in the bathroom fight scene where I look in the mirror, kind of check myself out, you know, things like this.
So I also props off to her as well. But when it comes to Terminator, it pretty much cemented itself in pop culture history. Everybody knows what Terminator is. It also made Arnold Schwarzenegger the actor that he is, the action star that he is, in his favorite tagline, "I'll be back," and "Hasta la vista, baby." Everybody knows this. It's so many references based on Terminator that many people enjoy, and that's what I loved about it the most. But as time progressed and as time pursued, you know, sometimes I guess you would say directors or just corporations don't know when to quit, especially when the IP is making so much money. They always want to see how many times they can flip that IP to make as much money as possible, and they kind of like ruined the legacy, you know, with future titles or future entries that pretty much just stomps out all over the original. So now here we have an anime adaptation of Terminator with Terminator Zero, and I said to myself, can they pull it off? Can they do it? And I would love to see how they're able to take this adapted property and pay respect. And the other question is, how can they pull off a Terminator film without Sarah Connor or without Arnold Schwarzenegger himself or any resemblance of these characters? And that's where I believe a lot of the Terminators have failed at, when they try to stray away from what makes it popular. I think that's what makes it harder to do these kind of films. But now we have an anime that's not relying on it and it's doing its own thing. I would say this, it was definitely pretty interesting. So we're going to just dive into the world of what they tried to set up when it comes to Terminator Zero itself. So let's dive right into the story. So what is the story all about? Just like any type of Terminator movie, the Terminator movie is always about Judgment Day is upon humanity. Now it's up to a warrior from the future to go back in time to protect a target of interest that could change the fate of humanity by preventing the AI known as Skynet from activating and becoming fully sentient and tries to wipe out humanity. And in Terminator Zero, that's no different. It has the same concept, but this time we're taking much more of an Eastern approach to it. In Terminator Zero, they decided to add a bit of a twist on the narrative to keep things fresh, and I respect what they did, because instead of a human resistance sending a soldier back in time to protect someone like Sarah Connor or John Connor, we are introduced to a new protagonist named Aiko. Now, Aiko, she wants to save humanity from Skynet, right? But they discovered that Skynet had found a means of time travel, and because this resistance groups had found out that Skynet themselves are the ones that's trying to go back through time, now the human resistance group are trying to find a way to go back in time themselves, because Skynet is still, despite Skynet having power over Earth and over humanity itself, humanity is still a threat, or I guess you would say humanity is still a pain in the side. They still haven't wiped them fully out. So Skynet figured that, hey, if we go back into the past and stop a particular event from taking place, we'll be able to take over the entire world, or so do we think. So now the human resistance groups, Aiko and many others that's like her, they had to go in and fight against Skynet and get this particular type of energy source, or this fuel source, in order to power up this particular time machine or device that allowed them to go back through time. Now, it's this woman that's really, really interesting, and we're going to get more into details when it comes to her. Now, what makes this really, really interesting, that's much different from most of the Terminator films, you have this woman that's known as the Prophet. And for some strange reason, she knows so much about technology, Skynet itself, and also the fact is that they're able to go back through time. And now everybody crowds around the Prophet because this woman knows so much information about the state of the war that the rebellion group has against Skynet itself. So now they need a chosen warrior or a chosen soldier to go back through time in order to stop and prevent Skynet from taking over. So now you have Aiko, who has been chosen to go back through time. And now what makes this interesting is, instead of them going back in time to, save Sarah Connor or to protect John Connor, you are also introduced to a new character, because this new character is named Malcolm Lee. Malcolm Lee is a scientist in Japan, because yes, that's right, we'll be exploring Japan in this version of Terminator. So Aiko goes back through time, and she has to find this target named Malcolm Lee. Now, Malcolm Lee is a scientist or an AI specialist who creates an AI that's supposed to counteract Skynet, because for some reason Malcolm Lee is getting these visions of the future, or what he calls his nightmares is actually the future, which is Judgment Day itself. So this had gotten him kind of scared and shook up, which made him get to work on this AI named Kokoro. Now, Kokoro is this AI that's supposed to counteract Skynet. But the interesting thing about it is Malcolm is kind of like in a dilemma, because this dilemma that he's in is that if he activates Kokoro, is there a possibility that Kokoro may turn on humanity and actually join forces with Skynet, or will Kokoro protect humanity by fighting against Skynet? So right now he's debating whether or not should he turn Kokoro on, and this is where you get these philosophical conversations with Malcolm Lee himself and also Kokoro, because he's going back and forth trying to talk with this AI and try to explain why humanity is worth saving. So I'm not going to dive into the nitty-gritty details, because that's going to spoil a whole lot. And I like Malcolm as a character because you're confused, because you are saying to yourself, how does this man have these visions of the future, and how does this man have the technology and the know-how in order to build this type of AI to fight against Skynet? So everybody around him and his team is questioning him why he knows these things, especially Kokoro. Kokoro wants to know, how do you know these things and stuff like that? So that's where it gets really, really interesting. And what I love about this character too is it also introduced his kid, his 3 children. The oldest is named Kento, the middle child is Hiro, and the third child, which is the little sister, her name is Rika. And these kids are very important to him. But because of it, the work that he's putting in, trying to save humanity, it kind of puts a wedge and strain between him being a father to his children. And then also you have another character whose name is Misaki. Now, Misaki, in my personal opinion, is one of my favorite characters. There's some things to this character that's really, really interesting, and you want to actually know what's up because of how she behaves and how she acts. and she's kind of like a mother figure to the children because she's Malcolm's assistant. She makes sure that the kids are fed, she goes shopping, she bathes them, she do all the things that needs to be done, she cooks and cleans around the house while Malcolm goes off into the laboratory trying to prevent Judgment Day. Now the kids don't know anything about Judgment Day or anything that his father is doing. They just know his father is always extremely busy. So you get a chance to see how all that unfolds. But Misaki, man, I would say one of my favorite characters because of the mystery that's around her, and you're always questioning what's going on with this character and how she behaves when it comes to the children and when she's around Malcolm and other situations that erupts. Now, Aiko is kind of like our Sarah Connor in a sense, where every Terminator film, you always have that military female character. It started off how Sarah Connor, she started off as, you know, a woman who just worked a regular job, and because of her situation and her experience, when the Terminator was hunting her down, it kind of made her rough and around the edge. Well, Aiko is kind of like Kyle Reese. She's born during the era of the war itself against Skynet. So even at the age of 5, all the children are brought up to train how to fight against Terminators. So when it comes to Aiko, she's pretty tough and rough around the edge, but she also has that feminine side to her, which you'll see later on within the show, within the anime itself. But all she cares about is changing the future and saving humanity. That's all that matters to her. So yes, in order to find Malcolm Lee, she has to stop Malcolm Lee. Malcolm Lee, they're saying that something is going on with Kokoro, that she has to stop Malcolm Lee from activating Kokoro. And you want to wait and see how that unfolds. Does he activate Kokoro? Does Kokoro betray humanity and team up with Skynet? Or will she protect humanity? So you want to wait and see. But she's dedicated, Aiko is dedicated to her job. And you can tell that she's human. She can't, like, when she goes against the Terminator, she's pretty much helpless. And that's what I love about the Terminator so much, is because when it comes to the Terminator going after the human characters, going after the protagonist, stalking and hunting them, it's always that sense of danger. Will the protagonist actually die? How many people are going to die as the Terminator tries to hunt down their target? And the target is also trying to go after Malcolm Lee as well. And now you have a race against the time. What does Aiko have to do? Does Aiko have to kill Malcolm? Because the Terminator is trying to kill Malcolm. So how is all this going to play out? And this will always keep you on the edge of your seat when it comes to these characters. Now, another thing that I want to talk about is the action set pieces. This is a totally different a tone or a totally different approach when it comes to Terminator. Because you know, all Terminator films, you know, take place in the West, take place in the United States, take place in America. So you know, every American have the right to bear arms. What is different in Japan? Because what I like about this anime is it sets up why these Terminators are deadly. It takes a shit ton of things to do in order to just incapacitate it. Most of them can't even kill the Terminator. No matter how many guns that they have and everything in the future, it takes a long time just trying to take out one of them. So now you bring them into present time where technology is somewhat advancing, which we will get into in a second. But now you have a Terminator that's going to Japan to go after Malcolm Lee himself. Now you already know it when it comes to guns, and when it comes to guns in Japan, the citizens can't bear arms. So now is a different approach, because now Aiko, she's in a situation where, you know, she can't use guns. Well, she does bring a gun with her, but how far does that ammunition go? And now you also have a Terminator as well who doesn't have a gun. So you see these crazy situations and creative situations of how the Terminator make weapons, and how Aiko also utilize different weapons in order to push back or slow down a Terminator, because trying to kill the Terminator is almost damn near impossible, especially in this current time and era, especially where they're at in Japan, where you can't have any guns as a citizen. It makes things quite interesting. So you're always going to be at the edge of your seat. I knew I was. I'm like, how can Aiko deal with this? How can Malcolm Lee and Misaki and everybody can get away from this Terminator? Because they can't use weaponry. They can't use guns. Only the police officers and government agents can use guns. So that's where the interesting twist comes into place with that. And I really like that approach. And the fact is that they added a new AI to this twist, which is Kokoro. It gets rid of that monotonous. It gets rid of that, you know, predictability, because this new AI could be more vicious than Skynet itself. We just don't know. You just have to wait and see, and that's what I love about it the most. Now, I also want to talk about the world building aspect, because in this version, in Terminator, technology is a bit more advanced. And now that I watched it a second time, because I had to watch it a second time before I did this review, I started noticing little things. That's why I love double watches, because if you watch it double or watch it again yourself, you'll probably pick up on a little bit of other things. But now I watched it twice, and now I'm realizing, like, okay, this is why it makes sense. But when you first go watch it in 1998, technology is a bit more advanced, because in this world, especially in Japan, where they're at, you have people who has pet dogs, robotic dogs, robotic cats, even the kids. Malcolm's kids play around with this one particular AI cat. And then you also have servant robots that walk around and walk the dogs and stuff like that. So even then, you already start to see technology is a bit more advanced, way more advanced than 1998 that we live in, is way more advanced. So it also gives, makes you curious about, what got it this way and everything. And then also there's protests that's going on when it comes to the company that's behind working on Kokoro itself. So it's pretty interesting to see more of this world. I want to know more about it and how it got this advanced. I think it's going to be pretty interesting, and hopefully we definitely explore that when it comes to season 2, because man, I'm wanting season 2 so bad, because I want to see where this is going to go. And as I said before, man, that plot twist, man, it got me excited and got me like, damn, like, all right, what is going on? Like I need to know. And so now season 2 has to come. It can't be on hiatus. It has to come out at least this year, if not next year, man, because it really had me super excited. But overall, man, I enjoyed the overall package to it. It gave you that sense of urgency, that sense of danger when it came to all of the main characters that were up against the Terminator itself. And also, the Terminator was also not your copy and paste Arnold Schwarzenegger type of clone. This Terminator was also pretty unique and had its own personality, and it wasn't trying to bring any callbacks to any of the movies. It's actually its own thing, and actually, in my personal opinion, it added more to the Terminator universe that could actually be interestingly to explore. The fact is that we got Kokoro as a new AI. I would love to see how all that works out, but that pretty much wraps up everything in a bow when it comes to the Terminator Zero anime. I definitely enjoyed it all the way through. I believe, if I can remember, it's off the top of my head, I believe it's only like 12 or 13 episodes, so you can better watch that. Or 8 episodes, can't remember, 8 to 13 episodes, I believe. You can actually sit down in one setting and actually watch these episodes, and you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I would love to see this world explored even farther. But I would say this: watch it. I think you'll get some enjoyment out of it. When it comes to this anime, man, it was entertaining, and I was at the edge of my seat, and I love that plot twist. But that pretty much wraps this up, man. Definitely check it out. If you've seen the video or you've seen the anime, definitely leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't spoil anything, because it's a non-spoiler, but just give me a summary of what you feel or how you feel about Terminator Zero. I enjoyed every last bit of it. And who was your favorite character, without going through any spoilers at all? And also, if you haven't watched it, will this be something that you give a try, after watching this review? So if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe button for more gaming content here on this channel. This is MugenLord, sign off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.